Hare Krishna, dear listeners. Today we have a very special guest. He is the fifth generation relative of Srila Sachidananda Thakur Bhaktivinoda, one of the most prominent acharyas and reformers in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So I'm very honored to introduce Abhishek Ghosh, or Dr. Ghosh, also known as Krishna Abhishek Prabhu. I'll just briefly read your short introduction, and then I'll ask some questions, Prabhu. Is it okay?
Please.
So Abhishek Ghosh was born in a Vaishnava family in Bengal, embraced devotional practices from a young age. He is a doctoral fellow in South Asian languages and civilizations at the University of Chicago. He holds the Master of Studies degree in Religious Studies from Oxford and teaches courses on South Asia and religion at the Graham School of General Studies, University of Chicago. So outside academia, Dr. Ghosh offers courses and seminars based on Vaishnava philosophy worldwide. He is also passionate about kirtan. That's what I learned from internet, and also enjoys cooking for devotees. So that's a short introduction. I hope it's correct.
Yes, a little dated. It's that one is from almost 10 years back.
10 years back.
I currently serve as the Dean of Faculty of KJ Somaya Institute for Dharma Studies and the Director for the Institute for Vaishnava Studies. I run academic programs in Dharma Studies and Vaishnava Studies in Florida and India. At our university at Somaya Vidya Vihar, where I'm speaking from in Mumbai right now. We have about 40,000 students, 1,500 professors, and 2,500 staff. About 100 acres of campus in the city of Mumbai. And our Dharma Studies program is a pioneering program in India that houses Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, study of yoga, then advanced Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, and a strong interfaith component. We have strong relations with the Vatican, with various religious organizations, Buddhist, Jain, Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, Zoroastrian. And my service in Florida is as a director for the Institute for Vaishnava Studies, which has been in operation since 1982. It started with a grant from the Smithsonian to preserve Vaishnava manuscripts. And currently we have a graduate program, a doctoral program in ministry. So people can get a master's or a PhD degree in Vaishnava studies online from anywhere on the planet by studying with us.
That's fantastic. Maybe at the end of the podcast, we will come back to this and advertise for anyone who will have opportunities. They might be interested in this information.
Correct. So
thanks, Prabhu. So you're definitely Dr. Ghosh, and it's just amazing to see you traveling back and forth. So currently you're living in the North America, but
yes,
coming quite often to India.
Yes, and traveling different parts of the world too, across Asia Pacific and Europe. Someday I'd like to make it to Ukraine.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I will translate this podcast into Ukrainian, who are the most of my audience, but I will publish also that video in English. So we'll have two videos available for English-speaking listeners and to my Ukrainian friends. So I just want to remind that basically just a few days ago, on the 5th of September, the Vaishnava community celebrated appearance day of Thakur Bhaktivinoda, and it was celebrated in all ISKCON temples and also in in other Gaudiya organizations with Katha, Kirtan, and sumptuous feast offered in the honor of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So hopefully today we will have another feast of listening about your ancestor Thakur Bhaktivinoda, and so it will be like a feast for our ears. So, but I'm also very
If I'm
interested to learn about yourself.
okay, if I may quickly interject, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is one of my distant ancestors. I'm
Yes.
not a descendant in the Datta lineage; they are my friends. But his mother's side are the Mitra Mustafis. So the mother's side is Ghosh, and his father's side is Mitra Mustafis, and they are my cousins. So not a direct lineage, but our families are connected. And my great 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 grandfather was his first publisher. And even today, through 5 generations, our families have been connected.
So it's a Datta families,
But
Ghosh
the Dutt,
family,
Ghosh, Mitra, and the Mustafi family.
Mustafi.
Mustafis are my paternal cousins. And then
Mhm.
Kashi Prasad Ghosh was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's uncle who raised him. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur became an orphan when he was very young. And his mother's brother was a Ghosh.
But that's anyway part of the larger family, extended family.
That's
So
right,
I'm
yeah.
sure since your childhood, you heard about him. There's no way you wouldn't
Yes.
know about Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
And also his direct great grandchildren come to me for questions about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and I became one of the custodians of his estates. I helped the Bhaktivedanta Research Center gather materials on his life, and so I have done my little bit to make a contribution and have give devotees access to materials from Thakur's life.
That's amazing. But how can I ask you, how come that you're not that close to his direct lineage, so to say, and anyway you're now responsible for
That
most of the
story,
heritage?
that story goes back to Tamal Krishna Goswami. And so Tamal Krishna Goswami was doing his PhD at Cambridge, and I became a research assistant. And he began to do his research on my family. And some of my ancestors, direct ancestors, were the pioneers of education, modern education in India. And they were instrumental in bringing the printing press and so on and so forth,
Which
right?
year was it?
Textbooks. This was in the mid to late 19th century, about 150, 160 years back. And
No, I mean the Tamal Krishna Maharaj
this was in
when he got in
2001.
touch with you.
This was in
2001.
2001.
Mhm.
So I was about to join the merchant navy, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was my guest. He was staying in our house, and he confronted me, asked me why I was doing something like that rather than studying Gaudiya history, philosophy, and becoming an world expert on this, engaging in interfaith work. His point was the world has enough engineers and doctors, and you name any professionals, the world has enough of them. There aren't enough people doing this. So I protested, saying, who is going to listen to this? It's like, who cares? And his point was, if you pursue this, you will see that there is enough interest. Nobody else is doing it. You should do it. So he turned the course of my life and put me into academics.
Was he doing his academical studies at that time?
That he was doing his PhD at Cambridge on Prabhupada.
Mhm.
So eventually, I ended up doing my master's research on Jagannath in the Chaitanya Charitamrita at Oxford University, and then my PhD on Bhaktivinoda Thakur at the University of Chicago.
Wow.
And so it was a culmination. In fact, he had asked me, but I did not take that request very seriously till what happened. There was one very difficult incident. I was supposed to travel with him in his car, and at the last moment, he had me leave. The night before, he said, "Go home, I'll see you later." I was not very happy losing my ride. But next morning, that car had an accident. The car crashed, and he passed away. And the lady who was sitting in the car, where I was thinking I would sit, also passed away that morning.
Vrindavaneshwari.
Yes. And so I felt that I got a second chance at life.
Wow.
I would have been gone that morning. And so, in a sense, I felt that he shared his heart and he requested me to do some things right before he passed away. And I had his death wish on my shoulders. And he was a very determined and humble personality, man. And he essentially impressed upon me the fact that Navadip and Shantipur was the Oxford and Cambridge of Asia. People from around the world used to come and study there.
Did you
And
know
because of,
that before?
I did not.
Not much.
No, I did not. And so his point was, till we are able to reinstate these places as centers of education, the genius of Bengal, the genius of Mahaprabhu will not be known. And it occurred to me much, much later that, Gaudiya Vaishnavas begin their meditation by chanting Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Sri Vasadi, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a professor of grammar and logic, of Navya Nyaya and Vyakarana. Advaita Acharya was a professor of philosophy. Srivas Pandit was a professor of Sanskrit. Gadadhar was a professor of epics, Bhagavata. So the people, 4 of the 5 members of the Panchatattva who are from Navadvip are actually professors. It was
according
a campus
to
town.
according to standards of that time, right?
Yes, it was a university town. It was a center of education. And Nityananda Prabhu was the most traveled among them. And therefore, he was the most, had the widest exposure. And according to the Mahabharata, traveling is the best form of learning. So when you have a group of the highest educated people from the most established campus town say that we are at war, because mind you, India was divided into warring kingdoms. There was the Delhi Sultanate. Bengal was ruled by the Shahi dynasty. Orissa was ruled by the Gajapati dynasty. South of Orissa was the Vijayanagara Empire. And these empires were at war with each other. It was not an easy time. And so Gauranga Mahaprabhu was a professor who initiated a cultural revolution that started with the intellectuals. If the leaders and thinkers of society do not understand the core message of the Bhagavata, then they don't have a clue as to what our ancestors left behind as a cultural presentation that can offer a solution to large-scale quarrels and war that we face today. So Navadvip became the centerpiece of this revolution of peace. And the person who brought it to the West, Srila Prabhupada, was born in 1896. By the time he was 20 years old, he saw the First World War. In his 40s, he saw the Second World War. His businesses collapsed because of the global recession. He had 7 children who were practically starving. So, for all practical purposes, both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, as much as Sri Krishna himself, saw the horrors of war, and they gave knowledge and certain practices that can bring peace on this planet. But for that to happen, the leaders and thinkers of society will have to understand the core message of spiritual life shared by these people. That is not possible unless there is a solid foundation in education. Culture is an external manifestation of education. Education is an internal manifestation of culture. Culture without education is decoration of the dead body. Education without culture is like an emperor walking on the streets naked.
But culture and education is tied with the religion, right? They can't.
Religion
exist.
is a form of culture and education mixed together that is grounded in existential meaning. There are certain
So what
things.
I mean, culture can't exist without religion, and it's been like this for centuries. The culture was reflecting religious thought, right?
Most cultures are either inspired by religions or is a breakaway from religion. Secular cultures of today, like during Christmas, people buy gifts. They believe in Santa Claus. Now that is culture, but where did Santa Claus come from? It came from Saint Nicholas in Christianity. People here celebrate Diwali by lighting firecrackers, but where does Diwali come from? It has a religious background. Only when people don't understand religion or react against it, then cultures become secular cultures. But most cultures around the world comes from religion. Now, when religion does not have the spiritual angle, that means people don't understand why they are practicing what they're practicing. Then religions can be hijacked by political people to divide and conquer, and then religion can be used as an excuse for human indignities that are unspeakable. So, the other thing to understand is religion is a Western concept. What is Dharma is much deeper than where religion goes. Dharma is what you believe and how you behave based on what you understand and know. The dharma of sun is to shine, the dharma of water is to flow, the dharma of every living being is to love and be loved through service. You can say religion, I belong to this church, this is my prophet, this is my book. But Hinduism, Buddhism is not religion in that sense. Religion was a category that was brought to the world by missionaries. What we practice is Sanatan Dharma, timeless values. And these timeless values are Satya, which is integrity, truthfulness, honesty. Saucha, which is cleanliness, purity, hygiene. Tapa, which is resilience, endurance, austerity. And Daya, which is compassion, empathy, and non-violence. These are the 4 pillars of Dharma. These are eternal. Therefore, they are Sanatan Dharma. When any of these pillars are compromised, then civilization comes to moments of destruction. Similarly, in 2008, when the American finance industry made compromises and gambling, then the whole world was affected because honesty was compromised. Similarly, in
What actually happened in 2008? Can you just
2008,
briefly?
there was a global recession.
Hmm.
Then that comes from gambling. And then whenever there is needless slaughter of animals for food, meat should be the last option for food. It takes a lot of time to cultivate grains, but it feeds a lot more people. It takes about 2 days of keeping your shower on to produce 1 pound of meat. That's how much sweet water it takes to create meat. And in the military, sometimes they are trained to kill animals first before they are able to kill humans. So this act of killing and violence has to be abjured as much as possible. Whenever that is compromised, then compassion is compromised. The purpose of human life is to make life as livable and make life thrive as much as possible. That is dharma. So these four pillars of dharma, when there is intoxication means there is good and bad intoxication. So getting intoxicated to meditation is a good type of intoxication. Getting intoxicated by reading holy books is good intoxication. The negative thing is addiction to substances. Addiction to substances compromises the human ability to function. So wherever there is addiction to substances, the pillar of dharma called tapa, which is endurance, resilience, austerity, gets compromised. Whenever there is any kind of violence towards animals, even plants, we should not unnecessarily kill plants. Only minimum amount of violence for our sustenance we can take on. So whenever there is any kind of needless slaughter, then compassion is compromised. Whenever there is gambling with one's time and resources, then honesty is compromised. And wherever there is exploitation of humans, especially for the purpose of sex, when sex is not following the principles of dharma, sex isn't compassionate, sex isn't done with integrity, sex isn't hygienic, and sex isn't earned, that is illicit sex. So that compromises cleanliness. So those four pillars of dharma are inevitable, they are timeless. Any civilization will collapse unless these are maintained. And therefore it is the duty of every single leader and thinker of society to understand this very simple point. Civilizations cannot exist. We cannot come to a human platform. We cannot be human unless we have these four pillars of dharma in place. You can call it whatever you may, but it is inevitable that when these four are compromised, we are not living up to our human potential. It doesn't require any spirituality, it doesn't require any religion, it doesn't require culture. This requires basic education. Children have to be educated that this is how humans behave. Otherwise, we humans are just like animals. And in situations of war, we see that humans start treating other humans like animals or even worse. Only when we come to this platform, dharma becomes the bedrock on which we can advance. Then we have civility, civic sense, and civilization. And this is the essential message of Krishna. Krishna wanted to avoid war at all costs, and he couldn't. And when he saw that the war was going to happen, he sided with the people who were upholding these four pillars of dharma. And so did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. except Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw that war is about to happen. But what he did, he got the millions of people singing and dancing on the streets and feasting. And imagine a population is attacked by a superior military and their spirit cannot be broken. You think that you are destroying homes and destroying farms and destroying facilities. But these people realize we are not this body, and they are singing and dancing in ecstasy, and they are feasting and helping each other out. Then the people who are attacking, people who are aggressors, wonder what happened. And that is what happened during Mahaprabhu's lifetime. Millions of people who are under attack were cooperating with each other, feasting, singing, dancing on the streets, and they did not join the military. And Mahaprabhu saw this formula and he walked around India and he enlisted millions and millions and millions of people who were singing and dancing with him. And they supported one essential aim for which Mahaprabhu set out from his home. His grand guru, Madhavendra Puri, who was an Advaitin sannyasi, wanted to reinstate Vrindavan because it had been destroyed by invasions. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go, and he took the finance minister and the prime minister of his empire and took it to the enemy empire. Dabir Khas and Chakar Malik was the finance minister and the prime minister of Shahi dynasty of Bengal, the Shahi empire of Bengal. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enlisted them as his disciples and took them to the Delhi Sultanate. That was the enemy kingdom.
I might be wrong. They became those ministers prior to meeting Mahaprabhu, or they already
They were ministers.
in contact with Mahaprabhu?
They were the finance minister and the chief minister, the prime minister of Shahi dynasty of Bengal. But after meeting Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu said, "Come and join me." So one escaped, the other was jailed. All of these stories are in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and anybody who's listening to this can go and read the books. And so one was jailed and he bribed and escaped. And but they knew how to run kingdoms. Now they were beggars and poets in Vrindavan, but they used their governance skills to recreate Vrindavan that had been destroyed by invasions. So that captured the imagination of a whole country. And that brought peace. So we come from the tradition. And today we say ISKCON, Gaudiya Math. I have seen the business card of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I think I have a copy of it somewhere in my records. And so he used to call himself secretary of Vishwa Vaishnava Sabha. Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha was instituted by Jiva Goswami on the instruction of Rup Raghunath Goswami to fulfill the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, which literally
was Bhaktivinoda Thakur also part of the
I'm coming to that. Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. So it literally translates into Royal Society of Global Vaishnavas. Because these people were royalty. They belonged to courts. They were part of empire building. When the Mughal government left and the British government came, all these old papers were defunct. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur re-registered the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. That was the main organization. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur called himself the secretary of Vishwa Vaishnava Sabha. Gaudiya Math was a colloquial name. People began to call it as okay, fine, Gaudiya Math. So Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, Vishwa means international, Sabha is society, and Vaishnav Raj means Krishna Chaitanya or Krishna consciousness. So the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a poetic translation of the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I understand, and I think
So this is an
any
organization.
Gaudiya organization existing now, they're part of that movement. It's not
One translation or
limited
the
to
other.
any institution, right?
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
larger.
Exactly. So the point is, the mission of this organization was to offer some continuity to the estates that serve as temples and pilgrimages. And the core mission is to see how Sankirtan can bring peace. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who is the founder of the religion
Sikh
known as
community. Yeah.
Sikhism. Yes. What is the core practice of Sikhism?
Doya.
Kirtan and Kirtan and Prasad. They have the largest food kitchens going on the planet, and they have continuous kirtan going everywhere. And you look at their songs, these songs are dedicated to Hare Krishna Ram Govinda Hari. The songs of Sikh tradition are from all the bhakti poets, Krishna Ram Govinda Hari. And they say that this Krishna Ram Govinda Hari is also Rahman and Allah, that there is no two other gods. So the Sikh tradition is a bhakti tradition. A lot of it is inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that reaches out to Muslims, brings everybody together. They eat vegetarian food. They call langar. They do kirtan. So this is the
It's
effect of the.
pretty much the same with Swami Narayan from Gujarat.
Yes.
Very
So,
similar.
so chanting of the holy names is a spiritual phenomena that you find across traditions. You go to the Jewish religion, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad in Hebrew. Listen, O Israel, your God, Lord is one. Chant. Jesus Christ used to chant Maranatha. He taught how to pray, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. It's a form of chanting. Muslims are chanting, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. It is chanting. Sufis that are a branch of Islam, they are chanting Allahu. So if this method is common to all spiritual traditions around the world. Chanting is the lowest common denominator of spiritual practice. Because chanting is Yoga Dharma. Everybody does it in their own culture, on their own language. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur particularly said that the future church of Kirtan will bring people from all across cultural lines that are exempt from current churches and mosques, and it shall merge as a culture of chanting of the holy names. It is already happening. And it might sound very counterintuitive that how can this stop so many of the atrocities going on this planet? But whoever is listening, my request is try it out. When two people sing together, they cannot fight. It's very simple. When two people
And
feast together,
when two people feast together, that's what I was about to
when
say.
two people
And
feast
dance
together, when
together.
two people sing together, when you see the humanity on the other person in the other person, you cannot be enemies. So Sankirtan movement is a great unifier. If it is done properly, it is the medicine for the large scale quarrels that are happening on this planet today. And in the preface to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'm paraphrasing, the one must understand the present need of human society. We are no longer bound by narrow geographical walls, and we have made tremendous amount of strides in the areas of economic development, sense gratification, and modern education. But despite all of this, societies and their leaders are ready to engage in large scale quarrels and wars at the slightest provocation. And there is a need and for a clue on how to stop these kind of quarrels. The Srimad Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation that offers this clue on how human society can live in peace and prosperity, making positive progress. It is not a band aid solution, it will not happen overnight. But if we keep at it, this is the medicine of the difficulties we face today. And so, for those of us, you mentioned that this podcast will be broadcast for a lot of listeners in Ukraine who are affected by the war.
Yes, correct.
My humble request to them is do not give up hope. War is difficult for everybody. But the biggest pushback, the biggest resilience against war is not physical but psychological. If we are able to be mentally resilient, and mental resilience can only come from one place, that is faith. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this. Marobi rakhobi jo ichha tohar, nityo dasho proti tua adhikar. Whether you want to keep me, whether you want to kill me, it is your choice, your decision. If we really believe that this is not the only lifetime we have, then there is nothing to fear. And if somebody gets killed in war, but they are in proper consciousness, it is glorious for a warrior to die with courage in the battlefield, protecting their motherland against any kind of aggressors. Women and children must be protected. Old people must be protected. Animals must be protected. Sick people must be protected. When the weakest links of society are protected, then civilization can exist. When these weakest links of human society are attacked, then it is the responsibility of those who are able-bodied to stand up for the sake of Dharma. One should not be an aggressor, but one should always fight to defend oneself. So violence is not good for aggression, but violence is inevitable for self-defense. One should not become a coward. If one sees that a woman is harassed or getting raped, then it is the responsibility to stop that with all one's might and power. It is dharma to bring criminals to justice. And it is also dharma to avoid war at all costs. So Sri Krishna knew which battle to pick. One of his name is Ranchor, means he ran away from a battle once. But he knew that this battle is not worth fighting. So we must pick our battles very carefully based on Shastra. We must remember that even the aggressors have people in their military who are fighting unwillingly. Sometimes a ruler becomes insensitive to the needs of their people, and they are willing to sacrifice innocent lives to achieve a political end. Shastras explain that if that can be done through negotiation, through bureaucracy, through diplomacy, that should be the first choice. War should be the last choice. But in human society, war has become inevitable. It is very unfortunate. It is very sad. We must try to escape it as much as possible. But when it comes to the criminal activities of any individuals or groups, we must stand up for what is Dharma. And as I explained, Dharma is Satya, honesty, integrity, truthfulness; Saucha, cleanliness, purity, hygiene; Tapa, endurance, resilience, austerity; and Daya, compassion, empathy, and non-violence. Whenever any four of these are compromised, we have to stand up and fight for it. Otherwise, there is spurious fighting is discouraged by Shastra. Was I able to answer your questions?
Yes, yeah, that was quite elaborate. Thank you, Abhishek, Krishna Abhishek Prabhu. If we build a bridge, like historical bridge into life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we see quite a few instances when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was exhibiting that desire to protect the community, and a few instances he was sacrificing his own comfort and even his own health and security and security of his family. Can you elaborate a little bit on that part when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was standing against injustice when he was when he was in Jagannath Puri or when he was in Bengal?
You know, there are about 800 million Vaishnavas on the planet. But the real definition of Vaishnava means paradukhe dukhi, one who can empathize with the suffering of others. There is a Gujarati song which says, Vaishnava janato tene kahiye je, peer padai jani re. A Vaishnava is someone who understands the pain of others.
Mahatma Gandhi's most favorite song.
Yes. Paradukhe upakara kare koi mane abhimana na ani re. So that person, a Vaishnava, is somebody who helps others in the time of their distress without expecting any reward or recognition. That is a Vaishnava. In the Vedas, Vishnu is the god of protection, the deity of protection, maintenance. So Vaishnava means stewards of Vishnu, the servants of Vishnu who are stewards and maintainers of the planet. That is Vaishnava. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says somebody can wear tulsi mala, tilak, and go around in a nice dhoti kurta, but they are not Vaishnavas necessarily. But somebody may be in a suit, but their heart is like that, then they are a Vaishnava. In fact, he wrote an article called Krishna Hriday Vaishnav Dharma Hriday, the dawn of Vaishnavism in a Christian heart. And he was talking about a German theologian, Johann Neumann. And he said, look at his works. This person is a real Vaishnava. He may not have heard of the term Vaishnava in his lifetime, but he is a Vaishnava. So Vaishnava essentially, boils down to that. Unless one is able to empathize with the suffering of others, one should not call oneself a Vaishnava. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw how innocent people were being cheated by corrupt priests in Puri. And as a deputy magistrate, he immediately stopped. But that wasn't the only time. When he was 11 years old, he was orphaned. The responsibility of maintaining his family and earning an income came on his shoulders when he was 12. He was asked to sell sugar in the grocery market and wholesale. And he's noticed that when he was selling sugar, he had to cheat people. And after some days, he said, you know what? I'll rather let my family starve than cheat people. So that is the mark of a gentleman. And when I spent time with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's family, they told me one of the most repeated words in his household was, first become a human being, then try to become Vaishnava. Age manush ho. First behave as a human. Because a lot of people think that, okay, now I'm a Vaishnava, I have become, I'm God's gift to the planet. The earth is more fortunate because of my presence. No, sir, sorry. Unless you are able to look at the weakest, the most vulnerable, forget your comfort, forget your, when you are like that, and within your, you cannot play God, but within your limitations, within your ability, if you say that, okay, this soul has come into my life, let me do what I can to uplift, that is Vaishnava. So I really wish the wars that are going on the planet today stop when people, and even if these people don't understand what is Vaishnava, let them behave in a Vaishnava way. At the end of the day, Muslims and Jews believe in the same God, but they fight each other thinking my God beats up your God. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says very clearly that I believe in the God of Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. And see who's fighting.
I'll tell
And
you one unfortunate instance, and I heard it from one sannyasi from ISKCON. He was quite happy describing the war in Ukraine, describing that two parties are fighting, and devotees are actually on both sides. And devotee from one side, they screaming Krishna and shooting other side, and from another side they screaming Krishna, and he was happy about that, everyone chanting Hare Krishna and they still kill each other. And I was like, what kind of philosophy is this?
that is madness. It is some kind of namabhash. Yes, they are chanting the names, but with what? So I really hope and pray and wish that the commonalities between the Ukrainians and Russians far outweigh the differences. They are divided by politics at this point. And the situation is very, very unfortunate. Every soldier killed on any side is somebody's child. And no parent should live to see a day when their child dies. It's the most painful thing on the planet. And so it is very unfortunate, and I hope and pray that it ends very quickly. And if any members of your community wants to ask questions to me, as I've mentioned in our private conversation, I will make myself available for about an hour every month, and I will answer any questions that are coming through you. And let me know if there is any question I can answer, and then we can conclude this conversation.
Yeah, that's very nice for you to offer this opportunity. We'll definitely look into the option to put together some questions, as you have a lot of knowledge about studying Gaudiya Vaishnavism, religious studies, etc., etc. In the beginning, you mentioned that there is a possibility for someone who is a single person, as far as I understand, and have option to move into Mumbai. You can offer a scholarship, right? A residence
Yes,
studies
we have
there.
yes, we have a program where we offer full tuition waiver to monks and complimentary lodging, and they have to teach meditation and engage with people here and offer spiritual discourses. But we have a Center for Dharma Studies, Institute for Dharma Studies, which has been in operation since 1980. In 1980s, within that we have Center for Hindu Studies, Buddhist Studies, Jain Studies. We have program in Yoga Shastra, and we have a program in interfaith engagement. We have monks coming regularly from Buddhist traditions, from Burma and Thailand. and we have Jain monks. We don't have any Hindu monks, and so if there are any monks, brahmacharis or sannyasis who wishes to come and study with us, we'll be able to offer them facilities, and as long as they are able to cooperate and
Yeah.
share the campus with us, we welcome their presence.
And what's the duration of the studies, if one accepted?
The master's course is 1 year,
1 year.
2 years, and the PhD course is 3 to 5 years. And we have certificate and diploma courses also that range anywhere between 3 months to 2 years.
That's very nice to know. That
Yes.
would be an advertisement of. Once again, what's the name of their
It's called
institute?
the KJ Somaya Institute for Dharma Studies. Somaya, Somaya, Somaya Vidya Vihar University, or just Google Somaya University and you will
Yeah.
find it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Krishna Abhishek. I was hoping to ask a few personal questions, but it sounds like we've been focusing more on general basic instructions, which are actually very important. And thank you so much for you encouraging words about the war and peace, and how Vaishnavas can find peace within ourselves, and hopefully the wars will end. Unfortunately, it is not happening now, but we need to send out that message you just mentioned today, and I'm very thankful for you. I've got quite a lot of food for thought to process, and it's very nice to revisit all the basic Vaishnava messages to the humanity, as sometimes we can get caught into more technical aspects of Vaishnavism, but coming back to the basic principles as Shaucham, Daya, and
Satya, Saucha, Tapa, and Daya.
Satya, Saucha, Tapa, and Daya. Yes.
These are the 4 legs of Dharma mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, chapter 16.
Okay, so with this beautiful message, let us to conclude this podcast
Thank
with Krishna Abhishek Prabhu,
Thank
with
you
Dr.
for
Ghosh,
having me,
and we will be definitely in touch. And I think it's a really good idea to organize some Sangha, at least monthly, and I'll let you know if we will have a group who is interested in such conversations. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. For those who are found this podcast interested, please like this podcast, leave some comments, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Krishna Abhishek. Hare Krishna.